Holy whirlwind, another big life update. Today is a Monday. I've literally been back home from my myelograms for a week, and I'm flying back out tomorrow so I can be back on the table on Wednesday to patch some stuff that we think we might have seen on my myelograms. It has been an actual whirlwind of the last few days because I don't know if you remember from my last video, but I was not that hopeful that we were going to find anything on these myelograms. I certainly did not expect that my doctor would be like, hey, you want to just get patched like middle of next week? You want to just fly way back out here again and do it again? When we were 99% sure that these scans were normal the first time we went through them. So we have a lot to catch up on. So I had 2 myelograms on back-to-back days. The first day I was laying on my right side. The second day I was laying on my left side. I was told that it was not a very good likelihood of this happening, but that there was a small chance that if we found something big on the first day, that we would just go ahead and attack that and cancel the myelogram on the second day. Right after I got out of my first scan, the neurotech person told me that they saw all of the fluid in the bag and everything looked good. So they didn't see anything obvious on the first scan. Now, I knew there was a chance that my doctor would look closer and see something and still call me and tell me to cancel the second scan, but alas, that did not happen. I did have to go in and do that left side. Obviously, in hindsight, I'm super glad that I got both sides done. So going into my left side scan, I was pretty sure that right side was normal, and then after the left side scan, I thought something was gonna show up on the left side scan, which I already explained. But then I did the patch, and then I was so focused on recovery and just getting home. And then when I got home, my whole family had these colds. So I really didn't pursue too much with my doctor for those next 5 days or so. What I did get during those 5 days from the hospital was normal reports. You know how you can log into your chart online and see the results as they're coming out? Well, I got my normal myelogram results through my online portal thing. And I also got notified that I have 2 kidney stones on my right side. So that was the results of my myelogram. The formal report said no indication of CSF leak, no indication of CSF venous fistula, just a couple of kidney stones on that right side. By the way, asymptomatic, non-obstructive. I would have no idea if I didn't get these scans, and I have no idea how long they've been there. With all of the leak stuff happening and just wanting to deal with these fistulas, I really don't care that much about the kidney stones. Until they are bothering me, I really don't care that much about the kidney stones. Or until I'm patched and I'm leak-free, then we can start dealing with the kidney stones. But for now, I'm just pretending we don't know. It's not that important right now. I knew in my head that I might get normal reports back from the neuroradiologist and then get actual results back that show something from my surgeon. This is what happened with my MRIs, with my brain MRI, and with my spine MRI. Everything always comes back normal. And then only the specialist who has eyes to see is able to see the things that they are looking for. But even though I knew that was a possibility, I really didn't have that much hope of it. First off, because it's happened so many times before. Second off, because if it happens on this scan, that's a really big deal because that's actually identifying a leak. And third, since these neuroradiologists are used to working alongside this leak specialist, I was thinking that maybe they were more highly trained or maybe they would have more attuned eyes to be able to see these little CSF venous fistulas. In a world where a lot of neuroradiologists don't even know to look for CSF venous fistulas, I was shocked to see on the report that it said no evidence of a CSF venous fistula. They were calling it by name, so I assumed they were really looking hard for those things. But it turns out, just like all the rest of these people who are reading the scans, they just don't have a ton of time to look at it in excruciating detail. And with things like these fistulas that have only been described in the literature in the last 9 years or so, they're just too new for most people to be trained to look for them. You would not believe the difference that it makes to have another set of eyes on these scans. Because these 2 normal myelograms ended up having 4 or potentially even 5 spots of interest for us to target. Can you believe that? CSF venous fistula, it sounds like a weird, big, scary word, but it's very easy to break down. Fistula literally means abnormal connection. So CSF venous fistula means there's an abnormal connection between your CSF pool and a vein. The way this shows up on the myelogram scan is that contrast dye is all lit up and you mostly see it within the fluid sac of your CSF. But then there were a couple of little spots on my scan where you could see this little wiggly line coming off of that main lit up contrast area. Some of the times that was happening, my doctor said it looked pretty normal. But then a couple of the times that it was happening, he said, you know, that one looks like it really could be a vein. And there were a couple where it showed up in the first scan, the time 0 scan, but then in the time few minutes later scan, suddenly that contrast dye was gone. So he pointed out, you know, that's also kind of weird. If it's showing up for a little bit, but then your body is whisking it away. We should keep that in mind. That could be a place where CSF is exiting from my fecal sac. But these scans are so precise and so finicky, and it's so hard to catch those little tiny leaks that it's super easy to miss it, even if you do have a leak. So don't feel discouraged if your scan looks normal at first, or even if it is normal by a trained eye. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're not leaking. So last Friday, I got on my Zoom call with my doctor and I said, all right, hit me with the news. Now what? What do we do? He says, let's go ahead and look through your myelograms. Let's do a nice detailed, you know, vertebrae by vertebrae look of your right side and left side scans and see what we see. He had already looked through it on his own, but of course he wanted me to see the results as well. As we were going, he was pointing out those little illuminated spots, and I can honestly say that while he was showing them to me, and even now, it's just not hitting me that we found something abnormal on my CT myelograms. I don't know if it's because it all happened so fast, or maybe it's because I was so dead set convinced that my myelograms were normal for the first week that when they suddenly weren't normal, I'm not comprehending it for some reason. But when I do let it really hit me, I am so excited that this is happening. So as my doctor is going through and noting these spots that could be causing my symptoms, he's also letting me know that, you know, there's no guarantee that any of these is necessarily the spot that is causing the problems. We won't know until we get in there and we fix it. Until then, it's just spots on my myelogram that look different from the other spots on my myelogram. And that's all we know for absolute sure. But as he was going through these spots, for some reason it wasn't dawning on me that these are going to be the next places that we target to go patch. And the next step is to basically just book that as soon as we can, because what's the point of waiting? So as we're nearing the end of my appointment and we're starting to talk about next steps and the order in which he wants to attack these spots from my myelogram, he casually says, how's Wednesday? I was like, how do you mean how's Wednesday? I live across the country. It's Friday. My immediate reaction was, well, nothing is more important than getting patched right now, so I'm gonna make this happen. But logistically, that means I only have 3 days to get out of here, have a place to stay, have the car and everything situated on the other end. I'm gonna have to be traveling with the toddler again. I'm not gonna have someone to help me this time on the flight. I'm gonna need someone to watch baby A so that my husband can work during that time, because he can't just take this week off work. I was like, you know, doctor, it's a lot of logistics to figure out in 3 or 4 days, but I think we can do it. And he said that his next appointment wouldn't be for another month if I didn't take the one that was in 4 days. So I went from thinking I had a totally normal set of myelogram scans, and I was thinking maybe we would need to book more myelograms or more imaging, and instead it was like, boom, you're on the schedule for next week. I immediately got the babies down for a nap and started booking flights. And now we're at the point where I'm flying out tomorrow, and I'm not packed, but I otherwise feel ready to go. Since I can't do any bending, lifting, twisting after the procedure, that kind of makes the flight difficult with the toddler. But I've flown with her a lot of times before, and I have not been lifting for several months now. So I'm actually feeling really confident that I'll be okay on the flight. My husband is gonna get me to the airport on this end, here at our house. And then on the other end, I'm gonna be able to get through security and baggage claim and all of that by counting on other people. I don't mind asking someone else to help me grab my suitcase off of the conveyor belt, and then I will be able to roll it to the car. Baby B is an excellent traveler. She's a great listener. She's a little ducky with me. She just wants to be with me all the time. So I feel really confident that we're gonna be able to walk through the airport, no problem. She's done it a million times. One thing we're using this time that we have never used before though is a gate pass at the airport. So I'll tell you about that in case you run into this pickle too. I didn't know you could do this, but all you have to do is walk up to where you get your boarding pass, the check-in counter at the airport. You can have another adult with you who is non-ticketed. And if you're disabled or you have some other reason that you need assistance, that other adult can actually come through security with you with a gate pass and bring you up to the airplane. They can get you all the way up to the gate, even if they don't have a ticket to get on the plane. So what I've done is I've arranged for a family member to meet on that end because they live near there. They'll be able to get me through security to the gate after my blood patch. This is nuts. I'll get on the flight alone with the toddler, and then my husband will be able to meet us on this end. The flight's just a few hours, and we're all gonna be trapped in a flight. So worst case scenario, she'll cry, but best case scenario, she'll nap. I've been trying to book these flights during nap time because with a breastfeeding baby, at nap time, all I need to do is be sitting and have a boob out. Super easy flight. She sits, she drinks her water, she wants to eat the pretzels, and she's a super content baby. And as for the patch, I'm not even worried about the patch. I feel like I probably should be, but I'm not. My doctor decided based on the scans, the order in which we're going to attack these potential fistulas. He's gonna start with the one that he thinks is most likely to be a problematic thing, and then we're going to work our way down the list from high priority to lower priority. There's also a fifth area up in my neck that he said he doesn't feel like he can safely get to. So we have another area that we're just gonna leave for now and hope that that one's okay. But as for the other 4, my doctor warned me that 4 is a lot to do in one sitting. He said 4 patches is a lot for just one time on the table, but that we will go through as much as we can, as much as I feel like I can handle, and then we'll call it at the end. So he's gonna do it in that priority order, and I'm gonna do what I can, and I'm really hoping that I will just fall asleep like I usually do, and he will be able to get through all 4 patches. The most I've done at the same time was 3 locations. Since then, it's always been 2 needles at a time, but it's never been 4. That said, the triple patch was high volume blood patch, and this one is, yes, 4 patches, but it's lower volume because it's fibrin. So as long as I can keep my cool about there being so many needles in my back, I think it's all gonna feel okay. I've just been calling it extreme acupuncture. It's fine, we're just going for some acupuncture. So that's my update, that's everything I have for you. Wish me luck, wish me a safe flight tomorrow and next week when I come home, and wish me a good experience on the table. This will be my 3rd time getting patched, so I'm feeling like a seasoned pro. I might show up, just as a joke to my doctor, with a little punch card that already has 2 punches in it, that has like the 6th patch is free or something written on it. And I'm thinking about literally just handing him a punch card with a hole puncher and seeing what he does. But here's hoping that 3rd time is a charm. And I'm really excited because this time it's targeted, because I was very brave and I got my myelograms. See you on the other side. Again.